Hi everyone, my name is Annabelle A. Gordonas and I will be your lecturer for today in the session titled Digital and Media Platforms in 21st Century Teaching and Learning. So when coronavirus 2019 or COVID-19 struck our land, it has created a massive disruptions in various levels of education. As a matter of fact, according to UNESCO, there are around 165 countries who decided to have school closures. So all of us are actually affected from this outbreak. And it has, for me, it has actually created a piece on my bonnet, and which concerns me three things. The first one is Maslow's first before bloom, which for me, we need to have first the safety and survival of everyone, right? The next one is how do we cope up with the long-term solutions that our government need to present, to everyone so that we could be possibly guided. And the last one is the sparking of pedagogical motivations as we transition ourselves to blended learning. However, as educators, we're always guided by the principles uh, of learning that it is continuous in order for us to survive, and every child has the right to education. So we reflect and asks, how do we transition ourselves toward the new normal? Basically, we are already experiencing this type of daily routine where social distancing should be always observed in the house. In the future, when we start our daily routines in the classroom, so how do we achieve balance from all of these changes? How do we design technology supported learning in the time of COVID 19? So let me share to you ICT integration models, which calls for TPAC, SAMR, and Technology Integration Matrix. So this is actually introduced by the Commission on Higher Education for all teachers to be guided and demonstrating awareness on how to infuse technology in the classroom. The first one is TPAC, which stands for Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge, which attempts to identify the nature of knowledge required by teachers for technology integration in their teaching while addressing the complex, multifaceted, and situated nature of teacher knowledge. So it answers the question, how will you integrate pedagogy, content, and technology at the same time? Okay, that's why TPAC stands for this one, the CK for content knowledge, PK for pedagogical knowledge, TK technological knowledge, and so on and so forth. So let me give you the two facets of learners today, or maybe the two facets of how teachers are behaving differently. There are teachers who prefer to talk in person, to do classes face to face, while other teachers are already digital natives. I mean, they do have their gadgets, they multitask, they're extremely social, they are multimedia oriented. And the same with our students who are always bringing their cell phones in the classroom. They're advancing their levels of knowledge because they're always on the go and researching and exploring. And what are we going to do, my dear teachers? How are we going to survive in this education 4.0? So let me share this with you on how to integrate our subjects. The first one is for a TVL and TLA subject, where a teacher may integrate the lesson uh, using the PCK model of TPAC. Cook a Filipino dish, develop a schematic diagram, and evaluate using a given rubric. So if you have observed, the PCK integration is there. However, the teacher would like to infuse technology. So here it goes. Perform a Filipino dish using a localized ingredient by groups, Using the procedures in the schematic diagram, create a tutorial multimedia and present during the discussion. So if you have observed, the teacher is already infusing or displaying the use of technology integration used by means of creating a tutorial multimedia. The next one is for the social sciences subject, the PCK integration, for example. Group students and ask them to create symbolic representations of sustainable development goals or the global goals in relation to Philippines context. So TPCK facilitate the production of an infographic in symbolic representation of sustainable development goals. So if you have observed, the use of infographic has been noted as part of the technology integration. The next model is SAMR, which means substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition model, which is designed to help educators infuse and reinforce technology into teaching and learning. So you may use the analogy of a coffee by ordering a basic variety and then moving on to another cup of coffee, another variety of a coffee, until you are heading off to another mellifluous kind of a variety. So in the same with that of technology. Now let me give you an example of how you do that in your own classroom routine. Writing a short paper. So the original assignment is a handwritten paper. So for the substitution, a word processor replaces a pen, pencil, and writing assignment. Augmentation, a word processor and text-to-speech function are used to improve the writing process. The text-to-speech function could be accessed in your Android cell phone. Just click the setting and go for accessibility and just try to explore because it's there already. Modification, the document created using the word processor and text-to-speech function is shared on the blog where feedback can be received and incorporated to help improve the quality of writing. And redefinition, where instead of a written assignment, students convey analytic thought using multimedia tools. So another one is for an art or painting class. Okay, original assignment: draw a picture using traditional brush. Now, if the teacher would like to use the SAMR for the substitution, use a digital drawing or painting program like MS Paint, which is actually built in our own computer, right? Augmentation, use a tool that allows the creation of your master piece to be played back, like the Edu Creations. Modification, pull a background image to use a canvas. And redefinition, create artwork collaborative using a collaborative online whiteboard like the Tweedla. Okay, so if you have observed the teacher is navigating from the basic use of tools to that of highly augmented application. Okay. And the last one is technology integration matrix, which was developed to help guide the complex task of evaluating technology integration in the classroom. So it is anchored into 5 interdependent characteristics of meaningful learning environments. The first one is active, collaborative, constructive, authentic, and goal-directed. So if you have observed, it caters the K-12 principle that the curriculum shall be constructivist. It should be pedagogical, reflective, and other things, right? So this could be a great tool or model for your lesson. So my dear teachers, when you are involved in a blended learning delivery mode, the flexible learning activities are actually there, okay? Where the teachers are designing lessons, of course, they are guided by the curriculum guides the schools are providing. And when they produce and design the materials like the modules, the syllabi, the quizzes or assessments, the students may access these materials in their own time, place, and pace of study. Now, when we do the flexible learning activities, it actually cater into several elements or examples. It could be face to face, which basically for now you could not do that. But with websites or interactive content like chat rooms, I guess one famous chat room that I have used now is called Slack. Okay, later on I'll be sharing you what Slack is. We also have discussion boards, CD rooms or hard drives, broadcast video, teleconferencing or video conferencing, and so on and so forth. You can use these particular types of uh, flexible learning activities so that your students may be able to achieve the learning competencies that they need to acquire, especially in the time of COVID-19. So, how do we assess in an online environment? Well, I guess you're familiar with diagnostic, formative, and summative assessments, right? And when we do conduct assessments online, it's different already because we are testing our students' audio through portfolio and video types. So we should always be guided by the principles that how do I cope up with this great challenge? What do teachers need to do in order to demonstrate that they have met the learning objectives? When we are transitioning ourselves to an alternative delivery mode, never forget the keywords synchronous versus asynchronous learning. Now, what do you think is the difference of the two? So, when I say synchronous learning, it involves online studies that are conducted with the aid of chat rooms, meaning it's live, it is done in real time where the teacher and the students are communicating online. That's why it's called synchronous. Okay. The next one is asynchronous learning, which is a method which can be carried out online and offline. Asynchronous learning involves coursework delivered by web through an email and message boards that are posted in online forums. So at any time of the day, in their own place, pace, and time of study, the student can access the materials. So that's the difference of the two. Now, the question there or the issue there here is the liberating new world of open educational resources, where education is sharing. If you have explored on the in the internet, you can see heaps of materials, no? And it's free and open. So it comes from the idea of open educational resources, where materials are um, free with open license. So what is open educational resources or OERs? It refers to materials that are offered freely and openly to adapt and use for teaching, learning, development, and research. So it means free and legal with an open license. So these are actually materials like books or ebooks, syllabi, assessments, videos, pedagogical practices, and many other things that you can download from OERs. Okay, so from OER Commons, there are teaching and learning materials that are freely available online for everyone to use, whether you are an instructor, student, or self-learner. Now, who is involved? So let me give you examples of OER providers who are actually part of our system. We might know that their programs are actually part of our system already, right? Like the OER Commons. I hear the DEP, it has been embracing the use of Commons. So that's an example of an open educational resources. We also have here California OER Council, Open Textbooks, and many other OER providers. These are also example of the Creative Commons licensed works that you can discover and explore via the internet while we are on the verge of the coronavirus pandemic outbreak, right? And never forget e-learning, where your students can communicate asynchronously, right? They can You can let them enroll in a certain learning management system, and you can let them enjoy the lesson, open the lesson, and participate in the online discussion, or maybe it depends on you. However, OER serve uh, advantages. No, the first one is scalability, meaning it can be accessed at any time, anywhere. So there is no cost as long as you have the Wi-Fi and free internet connection. Expanded access because everyone have the rights or the ability to um, accessibility as regards OERs. The next one is augmentation of class materials because everything is there, ranging from the syllabi that you are looking for a particular subject to different assessment types, different learning content materials that you would like to infuse in your lessons. The next one is enhancement of course content. We are aware that every day is a learning process, right? And the same with the course contents that are provided via the OER. So the program developers of these companies are actually changing the materials every now and then in order to answer what's the latest trends and issues as regards the current educational system. The next one is the quick circulation, because it's unlike with the books, it takes months and years to finally have a certain book. But with OERs, it's quite fast. Okay. The next one is less expense for students because they didn't need to buy books or any hard copy materials for them to access the lessons. With just an internet and a computer, they are going to uh, open these materials. Showcase of innovation and talent because a majority of the program developers have been showcasing a variety of materials to be offered to the public. So it's one thing to also imbibe their own creativity. Next one is ties for alumni. They get to um, involve themselves to the new trends of their particular university that they come from or they graduate actually. And the next one is continual improve resources because the curriculum has been noted as changing, right? So that's one of the advantages of OER. However, it also serves disadvantages. The first one is quality issues because anyone could post, anyone could modify and enhance a particular OER. So we are questioning here on how a particular teacher has been establishing the mantra of quality culture. The next one is language and or cultural barriers because 90% of the OERs are actually English related materials, which means that there are other countries who are not using English as their medium of instruction, so it could be one of the problems. Third one is technological issues where the Wi-Fi signal is erratic and some students do not have computers and do not have access to Wi-Fi connection, right? The fourth one is intellectual property and copyright concerns and sustainability issues. So this is an example of an OER, the OER provider, University of California. Just try to open this particular website, and you can have new resources for this one. The next one is Coursera, or we also have here edX, which is actually powered by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The next one is NovoEd, Open Study, Audacity, Canvas, Diversity, and Future Learn. Some of these platforms are familiar to me because I've been enrolling their courses like the Canvas, Coursera, edX, and Future Learn. So why not also try these heaps of materials for you to also learn new courses, especially, for example, if you're teaching English. So there are actually several courses that are offered for free, like the Teaching Grammar Communicatively, Teaching English with technology. So it depends on you what particular type of online course will you be enrolling. You also have open course software like the MIT or Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where they offer a variety of courses. For example, this one like peanut butter and jelly. So if you are a TVLTL teacher and your specialization is cookery, so why not try to also open this particular courseway, right? The next one is for mathematics teacher. MIT has been offering OERs for your information. It just depends on what particular featured courses will you be enrolling. Okay, so if I were you, please try to do. So this is an example of the dashboard that you will be answering and catering, in order to pass and maybe get a certificate after you finish the course. What's beautiful with in enrolling these courses that you get to get badges and certificates. For now, I have already 5 badges and 10 certificates online. I'm very happy because aside from these perks, I was able to advance my knowledge as regards different topics relating to my subjects taught in the university that I am actually connected with now. Siavula is an OER which provides free textbooks for K to 12. However, they have also textbooks which are not for free. So please try to also open this platform or OER. Orange, which is an open resources for English language teaching. Um, they have learning modules which caters for macro skills, listening, writing, speaking, and reading. So if you want to grab this opportunity, just type a route in your computer and please try to enroll yourself for this course. We also have Coursera, where they do have a variety of OERs like the University of Illinois, Stanford, UC San Diego, John Hopkins University, which is quite famous now in the course of COVID-19 because it's one of the credible organizations has been giving statistics as regards COVID-19, right? So suit yourselves, my dear teachers. We do have the popular courses that you may enroll, like the machine learning if you're teaching welding in your school. Why not try this one? Okay, so just type what particular course would you like to enroll. Another one is in the Philippines. We already have OERs. One famous university is University of the Philippines. It's called Massive Open Distance E-Learning. If you want to enroll, just type this search or URL, and they're going to present models of massive open online course that you would like or you can take actually. So why not try? Because I've been doing it several times already, and I'm sharing this to you. Okay, so my dear teachers, these are examples of learner management system that you can choose from, explore, and discover because some of these are actually, all of these are free, naturally, but you need to have a Wi-Fi. Okay, I've been using Canvas, Class Dojo, Inmodo, and Schoology. For 3 years, I've been using Schoology, and it's quite effective. No, so later on, I'll be teaching you how to use Schoology in the classroom. So let me share with you the various digital and media platforms for you to enjoy as you transition yourself to blended learning. The first one is webinar, which is quite famous nowadays. I've been seeing my friends in Facebook who are using the Zoom or the Facebook Live digital apps via teleconference or video conference, right? So when you say webinar, there is a need for a host, like one person who shall facilitate the meeting, and attendees or participants who shall be part of this meeting. So in the course of COVID-19, I guess Zoom is quite famous, but it's controversial just try to check the veracity whether you are going to involve in this app. But actually, it's quite effective and quite nice. I'm just wondering because it has created a certain controversy. So let me share with you how to conduct an online class using Zoom. Of course, you need to sign up and it's for free. Step one, go to this search engine, zoom.us, sign up, select an account, and that, of course, it's for free. But if you have money, then you can buy your own program, right? So sign in with your credentials, click on schedule a new meeting, yan. And then fill in details for your class session. So you're going to fill in this one and create a class, okay? So share the join URL with your audience. So just copy and paste that one and share it with your students or your colleagues. Now, if you want to also download this, you may try and run it to your personal computer, save it to a folder, and then there you go. This is an example of my Zoom class when I attended an International Korea TESOL conference last day. Okay? This was the announcement of the secretariat of that particular event. So it's quite a great tool for me, to also how to make directions whenever you would like to set up a meeting in Zoom. Okay, so these are my co-TESOL participants that day. I was able to meet an American who is teaching in UK, a teacher from Hong Kong, and there you go. I am a Philippine represent. Okay, it's quite enjoyable because you get to see and meet new friends, new teachers who are teaching language internationally. Now, let me share with you some webinar software platforms for your reference if you'd like to explore more. We do have S-Talks webinar, Zoom, Skype, Click Meeting, Facebook Live, etc. So please see for yourself, my dear teachers, if what particular platform will you be using, and always go for free because it's nice to also top up with your budget this time, right? One of the things also which is crucial in the making of your assessments online is podcasting. Okay, it's where you communicate with your students through an audio material. For example, you're going to present one lesson, so you can do this through a podcast. Okay, this is downloadable for free as long as you have the internet connection, and you can also download materials from the podcast. Okay, these are actually example of the audio materials or applications that you can download and try to record materials for your students' assessment. It's for free as long as you have the Wi-Fi connection. This is one example of a Spotify classroom assessment when I was enrolled in a certain online distance education where my trainer or course developer gave his or her lecture via Spotify. So it's quite, I like the environment because it's quite clear. The voice is audible and it can clearly decode what the speaker is or the teacher is explaining. So please try Spotify. The next one is the learner management system that I was mentioning you a while ago. If you want to try this, you can do this via www.schoology.com. It's like a virtual classroom where you may create a course and you may enroll your students. What you need is just to give them the code and bingo. You need not type individually their names because the moment your students will be able to access the code, you can already get the names. It's the job of the computer, that program. So it's a website and an app that you and your students can utilize to share information, resources, and files. It is a learning management system designed to provide a digital medium to enhance classroom interactions and support web page and content creation as well as collaboration. So this is an example of the dashboard of my school My Schoology, from my student Schoology pala. Okay, so it's my name, right? When I announce one particular announcement in, it's like actually a Facebook. You have courses, groups, resources, grades. Okay. It's also have notifications and personal message buttons. So the features of Schoology allows the teacher to set up threaded discussion, which allow for easier response and organizations. We also have the flexible instructional tools, which allows the teacher to easily differentiate instruction for students or different abilities. So we have here an example of my Schoology platform. Um, this is my profile. And if you would like to make one, you can also have this, but be sure to have a picture so that your students will have the feeling of being there. You're there when you are discussing or giving the lesson to them. So these are the courses. If you want to make a course, it's just type courses, this one. And then I've been using this for 3 years, so I have heaps of courses. So when you make my another course, just click this one. Or if you want to enroll in a course, just click this one, and a certain button like join a course will come out. Okay. So if you want to have a group chat with your students, just type or press this and resources. And if you want to message your students individually, you can also have that button. Okay. So this is an example where we are going to create a course. The timeline of the Schoology, if you'd like to um, present something or maybe tell something or announce an important thing for your students. Now, this is one example of the Schoology course that I was enrolled, and this is a sample material because in Schoology you can upload materials, the quizzes, assignments, exams. Okay. We also have here the grades where you can monitor the grades of your students, the attendance, and etc. That's the beauty of Schoology. It's like there's also an avenue where you can make class records. Okay, so we do have here sample example of formative assessment tools that you can use. Kahoot, I guess you're familiar with this one. It's a game, and I've been using it several times, and it has a fun-filled learning experience, not for my students, and they liked it. The poll everywhere, Socrative, Mentimeter. If you're a speaker or teacher, if you're conducting a LAC session, you can use Mentimeter. This is to get the polls or the statistics of your participants' views and opinions. Okay. Next, we do have the peer deck, Edpuzzle, Quizlet, Google Forms, and SurveyMonkey. We also have the 25 of the best math resources for 2020. My dear teachers, for teaching mathematics, you can try to explore this, but I've been using TeachThought actually, and it's quite impressive. The materials are on point, so please try to open these materials. We also have 20 of the best free science apps for iOS, so please try to discover or explore in these. We do have Google Science Journal, edX, TED, Bio Incorporated, and many more. So if you're a science teacher who have been teaching elements and other important and notable science subjects, so please try to open these apps for you. If you have a Wi-Fi connection, it's easy for you to discover and explore these materials. And for math and science, this is an additional information where we can also use these materials. As we transition ourselves to blended learning program, please try to use this because they're actually for free as long as you have the Wi-Fi connection. And for teachers who have been teaching students with disabilities, I have here some tools for you to use. I hope you will find time to reinforce and use this particular gadgets and applications so that your teaching and learning experience will be fun-filled and enjoyable. Next is Powtoon. If you want to make a video from, for example, if it's a 10 PowerPoint slide and you want to import it and make it a video, you can actually do that through this platform. Just type it, and it's for free. However, since it has designed advanced features and other creative uh, materials, so you need to pay. But there are other features which are for free and you can get to explore on. So it's quite beautiful, and I like the way how I was able to explore in this particular application. Um, there are actually heaps of Powtoon videos via the YouTube. So if you want to make your own and have it personalized, like you want to make a video for your mother is having a birthday, you can also use this app. So Kahoot is a gamification type of an app where a variety of topics could be downloaded. It's up to you. For example, your topic is about uh, bullying. So a handmade, I mean, there are already several videos for free that you can use for your game. Okay, so just type this particular search engine. So Mentimeter. So again, when you're speaking in various participants or audience, you can use this in order to measure their uh, their thoughts, no, their opinions, their ideas on a certain topic. Genial.ly, so I guess you're always doing some PowerPoints in your classroom. Now, if you want to have it or to navigate into a highly more advanced and more creative ways of presentation, you can type genial.ly, okay, in your search engine, and it's for free actually. However, the same with Powtoon, some of the materials or features are not for free. So Genial.ly is a free web tool used to create easy to use and interactive visual content. It can be used to enhance presentations, infographics, reports, posters, or guides. So this is an example of how you are going to explore on Genial.ly. Okay. The next one is TED. I guess you're always doing or using this one in your own classroom routines. We get to have this because a majority of these platforms are shared and done through videos, and we are inspired by how this particular organization has been introducing famous or even non-famous speakers or giving worth sharing inspiring life lessons, right? So it's an opportunity for us to explore and get to know some topics which might be of use in our daily lesson, and let our students explore that, listen and watch the videos that we will be presenting, right? So I have here an example of a TED Ed video that you can introduce to your lesson. Okay.
The world makes you something that you're not. But you know inside what you are. And that question burns in your heart. How will you become that? I may be someone unique in this, but I am not alone. Not alone at all.
Okay, I'm sorry for that interruption because but sometimes the downside when you insert a video in your PowerPoint presentation. So I apologize for that, my dear participants. But um, I've been enrolling myself into different courses, and I have seen that some of my teachers were using videos. So I hope you can get the chance to also explore TED. Although I'm sure that a majority of you are already using that one in your own context. We also have one app wherein you can also make a video and edit it, and you can share it with your friends. It's called Viva Video, right? So you can edit photos and videos. You can also choose a multiple tool of um, making it more beautiful and interactive. You can also adjust the speed and other multitude creative effects that you can calibrate in your videos. So from this, you can let your students enjoy and have a versatile range of college templates or collage templates from this particular app. Okay, so be sure that when you record the videos, look at these tips that I have provided for you or for you. First is you need to set up a location or room. Be sure that it's noise free. Okay, the background or the backdrop is quite impeccable. There is adequate lighting, high quality camera phone, some or the sound quality. You can also use microphone for that. For the software, you can use PowerPoint, of course, the OBS Studio with a talking head for the video, the MS Movie Maker, iMac Movie for Mac editing, Handbrake, where if you have a long video, you can actually make it shorter. And the last one is Audacity, in which you can edit the sound. Okay. So Class Dojo, this is also another example of the learning management system. Same with that of Schoology. So you can also try this one out because it creates and provides multitude of materials and assessment guides for teachers and students. We also have Khan Academy, where a diversified materials are also can be catered. You have various subjects that you can rely upon. Just depends on you. What type of material will you be choosing and you think will be appropriate to your lecture? So yeah. The next one is Haiku Deck. If you're teaching poems and you would like to embrace digital image, so you can introduce this one to your students. The Duolingo. If you want to let your students learn other languages, so you can let them download this app, the Duolingo. Tinker Card. This is actually made for a 3D innovation. So if you're teaching engineering and other relative courses, you can let your students experience this once in a lifetime 3D experience. The Evernote, this is for note taking. So I am actually using this and it's quite effective for me. So why not also introduce this one to your student if it's necessary. The next one is an interactive whiteboard where you can present beautifully and interactively through an online presentation or whiteboard presentation that's explain everything. The MindMeister, which is an app where you can solidify your concept mapping expertise and let your students experience and design their own concept map experience. Try to also explore this one. And the next one is the ZipGrade. This is a tool where you can download and install the free app on your device, open the app on your mobile device, can actually select quizzes. Uh, Through this platform, you can check a 100 uh, type of questions. For example, you have 50 or 100 students. It's very easy to check it. Maybe in 20 minutes you'll be done. You'll be finished already because it's quite amazing. Okay, so you just key in your quizzes, the key to correction, but it's quite limited because it's for free for the first time. But I don't know because I have not checked if how many times we'll be using this for free. But I've been using this several times already for free. But there's also avenue where you need to pay for the price. Okay, so this is a great tool where teachers are since bombarded with heaps of classroom routines and activities. So to make it more, to make it easier and more accessible for you, so you can also indulge in this type of platform. Um, this is the scansion paper, which is downloadable, provided by the Z grade, where the four dots represent the way how you are going to put the paper in a flat surface, and when you scan it through your cell phone, it's actually colored green. So it can already detect the answers of your student. Okay, so I'm urging you to please download Zigray because it's a great opportunity for you to lessen your burden in the class routines that we usually do every day. So my big question here is Philippine education system in 2020. Are we moving forward? I guess, of course, with such outbreak that we are experiencing nowadays, I hope we remain positive and always on the go in achieving the eminent culture of excellence as regards our duty to instruction, right? It is our duty to always give the best for our students. So we innovate. For example, we enroll online courses. We try to get to know the various digital and media platforms because this could be a great tool for us to do our modular classes online, especially if you're teaching in college. But in high schools, I guess and elementary teachers, you are guided by the DepEd. Where are we going, my dear teachers? Are you happy? But let me share to you the experience of the DOST, who's been very active in helping the Filipino youth. Okay, they have actually new programs as regards digital innovations, as regards human security, research and development. They're on to strengthening our human resource and manpower. We have space technology and ICT development, S&T for creative industries, tourism industry, and services industry. We do have the artificial intelligence as one of their new programs. They're also offering scholarships for teachers who would like to invest in a master's degree course or courses. So let me share with you some of the experiences that they're sharing in various localities and communities. Okay, and as a matter of fact, they have been producing coursewares and mobile applications for the Filipino youth. They're also awarding some schools for a 21st century model classroom where it has produced or it is catered highly augmented types of materials and resources in the classroom. So we're thinking about pedagogy in an unfolding pandemic. So I guess this is the best time for us to educate ourselves and be positive and be resilient from the different challenges that we face every day. As educators, no one will do it for us. It's all about us and our students. So let me share to you the life of Malala Yousafzai, who comes from Pakistan. At an early age, she was able to see how the Taliban's were abusing and exploiting the children in their community. Children there have no access to education, and so thus Malala was able to make a blog, and she shared it via a certain international news agency, and it created a massive impact around the globe. That's why he was actually given the Nobel Prize in 2014. However, one day Malala Yousafzai was boarding in a bus with her three friends, and she was shot in the head. Luckily and fortunately, she was able to survive that big tribulation, and even until now, she's still uh, exploring or maybe sharing how the Taliban's are doing and giving some bad influ- influences in their communities. So that is why it takes a lot of courage for us to be able to take and effect change. Teachers, we should be the change that we wish to see the world, right? So let's add compassion to our online courses as we transition ourselves. You don't have to build a chapter for your students to fall through. It's your job to point out that there is a hole in the floor. So the pursuit of Philippine education transcends as being a sporadic community with a steadier, innovative, and sustainable presence. Let us solidify and this dense feeling of belongingness and connection and the massive effort for our quality assurance and innovation undertakings. I hope you have learned something big today, and let us all join together as we continue to effect change within ourselves and the whole world. Because if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow. Thank you so much. Kudos and mabuhay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the National Webinar Training on Digital and Media Platforms. My name is Dr. Annabelle A. Gordonas. I am currently a full-time professor in Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and it's my pleasure meeting you all today. How have you been up to? Because I believe from since the lockdown or the quarantine has started, all of us have been very busy in attending webinars, enrolling in the online courses, etc. Okay, so our session today is titled Instructional Multimedia. So at the end of this training, every one of us is expected to be able to identify the definition of a learning theory, traditional versus 21st century learning, what is media, what are the types of instructional multimedia, and what are the factors affecting media selection. Okay, so in our undergraduate, we have this subject which is called facilitating learning, or maybe principles of learning, where majority of the learning theories are being discussed. So I know you're familiar with this one. We'll just have a short recap on your knowledge on what is a learning theory. Can you still recall, my dear teachers? Okay, so if not, let me define it to you. So when we say learning theory, it's a coherent framework and set of integrated constructs and principles that describe, explain, or predict how people learn. So that is why it's included in every teacher's curricula, because as a teacher, we need to identify and describe or explain how our students learn, because they come from different interests, learning profiles, backgrounds, etc. So as a teacher, whenever we are able to identify these theories, it's not any more difficult for us to find and select appropriate methods, teaching strategies, content, assessment, whenever we teach virtually, or it could be face to face. Okay. Now, my dear teachers, can you still recall the different learning theories we used to study in the college? Okay. So let's have a short review once again. So the first one is behavioral learning theory, the cognitive learning, social learning, humanistic learning, and psychodynamic theory. So when teachers are able to identify this and they're able to describe this learning theory, so it's not fiddly for them to adjust to the different types of learners he or she has, because from that he knows how to adjust, no, from the different types of learners he or she has. So the first one is behaviors theory by B.F. Skinner, who is known for operant conditioning. So operant conditioning model is postulated by the positive and the negative reinforcement. So to increase the probability of a response, we are considering here the positive reinforcement, which means that there is an application of a pleasant stimulus. So it is happening every day. You know, when we start our lesson, we normally introduce some motivations for them to be able to be enticed as we commence our lesson. So when the teacher is presenting a particular stimulus, of course, there is that positive response from the students. So, for example, say, okay, tomorrow, please be here and do not be absent because we are going to have a quiz. So naturally, your students will be there because they know that there will be a reward for that. So there is a positive reinforcement and their grades will become better. So reward conditioning, a pleasant stimulus is applied following organism's response. So it is always happening every day. When we give rewards during class discussions, our students will become motivated not to do their own share upon learning, because they know that at the end of the day they are going to receive a positive implication for that. Okay, so the next one is the negative reinforcement, which is the removal of an aversive or unpleasant stimulus. So one particular attribute for this is escape conditioning, where there is an aversive stimulus which is being applied, the organism makes a response that causes the unpleasant stimulus to cease. One very fine example for this is our students who are considered to be scholars because they are sports enthusiasts. No? So sometimes our principal or our administrators would tell us, oh, please give consideration to this particular student because he is always practicing his sport involvement, and this child is bringing prestige to the school, so you need to consider and maybe exempt this particular child in the quiz, in the examination. So yes, the child or the student will pass the subject, but then there is a negative reinforcement because the child is already accepting the fact that he can pass whenever he or she is able to perform something in lieu of the physical or the classroom condition that he or she needs to attend to. Okay, so that's the operant conditioning model of B.F. Skinner. The next one is Ivan Pavlov, who is famous for his classical conditioning. So I guess you're familiar with this one when he introduced the idea of when the dog salivates when he hears the bell or the ring of the bell. So the dog salivates. Okay. Next one is cognitive learning theory, which calls for the mental process or the processes on how our students learn. So it's innate for every individual or for every learner to possibly catch up with the lesson mentally right away, because it is like a block box, which is part of his system, part of his development as a learner. The next one is John Piaget cognitive learning theory. Yeah, it's part of the cognitive learning theory, which it's a mental process. It's and teachers are. There is a need for the teachers to always consider this type of learning theory where students have the possibility to acquire learning right away at that moment, mentally, because it's part of their maybe training, their development, the learning profiles, and that's the concept of John Piaget. We also have the social learning theory, in which accordingly, this type of learning theory postulates that a child learns from his or her own environment, which is basically true. No man is an island, and as a teacher, we need to always see to it that our students are able to collaborate from their classmates whenever we are going to introduce one particular lesson. That's why differentiated instruction is introduced, because from this type of teaching pedagogy, the learners are able to share their ideas toward others. They're able to respect diversity in the group, so that at the end of the day, when they're ready for employment, they're used to adjusting to the different types of classmates or people that they have been interacting with. So famous for this is Albert Bandura, who is famous for his social learning theory. Another one is Lev Vygotsky, who has been introducing the power of social development theory, where children need to interact with other learners in order to possibly take form of their ownership, take form the ownership of their own learning, and then they're able to give or maybe facilitate their own learning that others may be able to acquire from it. And teachers are given them the chance to construct their own learning, and they're able to share it and collaborate with other classmates. Okay. So that's why there is that social development theory. The next one is the theory of connectionism, where it introduces the idea that all things are connected, or there is an interconnected, related relationship. Okay, so famous for this one is Edward Thorndike for his theory of connectionism. As a matter of fact, his principles of learning has been summarized into 6. The first one is the law of readiness. Okay, where the teacher needs to see to it that he introduces a lesson. He needs to consider the strengths, the weaknesses, the learning profiles, the geography where these students come from, the individual differences of the learners, and many other considerations, so that he or she could possibly adjust and choose appropriate content or learning strategies in the lesson or in the classroom. The next one is the law of exercise, where the trial and error has been considered to be pivotal when a child learns. Okay, nobody is perfect, right? So, however, when a child or the learner is always, maybe, for example, he or she wants to learn volleyball and he's always practicing, so naturally, maybe in a month, I would say, and that's based on the theory of Thorndike, that he would be able to target the learning competency based on the notion that this child is always practicing. Okay. Next is the law of effect, and according to Thorndike, the power of motivation has been crucial when it comes to facilitating the effect of learning. That's why motivation has been part of our everyday routine, okay? Because it's based on research that our students really learn, okay? Because they have that effectual learning because they are motivated and they want to have that push toward learning. The next one is the primacy. The moment we hear one particular thing, we are enticed to delve more and are becoming more inquisitive because there is that sense of urgency for us to know more about these things. No, that's where the principle of learning of Erwin Lee Thorndike is anchored. The next one is the law of recency, where according to him, the recent information, events, learning that we acquire have that long-term effect on our foundational knowledge. So that's where the law of recency comes in. Okay, so for example, the recent events that we have experienced nowadays, so it has an effect from our senses. And the last one is intensity. The more the students are given the chance to learn, the more likely they possess intensity when it comes to acquiring learning. They have the passion to always question and maybe ask important things relative to the lesson that we are introducing. Okay. So Thorndike concluded that animals learn solely by trial and error or reward and punishment. The next one is Schema Theory by David Rumelhart in 1980, where according to him, whenever we introduce a lesson, there is a need for us to activate the prior knowledge of our students, because it's where we see and evaluate how far they go when it comes to learning something, and from that we may be able to adjust and reinforce our day's lesson, because we are able to see the real background. It's like we pose like eagles, diba? We are there calibrating ourselves and observing our students, and from that we are able to identify the suitable learning experiences that they need to have on a particular lesson. Okay, the next one is the humanist learning theory. This is actually my favorite learning theory, because here the teacher adjusts to the different learning situations that he is experiencing. So what are these learning situations? We are talking about the learning profiles of the students, because not at all times the students are, especially now, the Department of Education and the Commission on Higher Education have been planning to shift to flexible learning, or maybe they're adapting asynchronously or maybe synchronously, and our students, or some students, do not have access to internet connection. So this is the concept of humanistic learning theory, where the teacher adjusts to the types of learners he or she has, the learning profiles that they got, because we know that especially now we do have students who come from different backgrounds. Even students we do have students who are PWDs. So how do you deal with this type of learners? How do we become agile from these types of challenging conditions in the classroom? Other students come from different places. Other students didn't have access to do not know, they're having difficulty in accessing the learner management system. That's where the passion and the kindness, no, the human nature that we have, that we need to empower. We need to empower ourselves to also embrace this type of learning theory. Okay. And we also have this learning styles because when we upload the content in the LMS, for example, we need to put ourselves to the shoes of our students. Some students do not like visual information because they want to have this audio provision of the teacher. So when we upload our materials, we provide audio materials, videos, and any other things where the learning styles of our students are catered. Okay. So what are learning styles? We are aware that information enters our students' brain in three ways. The first one is sight, hearing, and touch. No? So from this one, we could probably facilitate the use of our learning style. Okay. So where do learning styles come from? So as we all know, they come from different influence, right, or influences, ranging from the genetic makeup, their previous learning experience, the culture, and the society they live in. Some students come from rural, urban, so they do have different challenging environments. So why should teachers know about learning styles? Okay. So the first learning style that we need to uncover is the done and done, you know, where according to this type of style, information enters different ways, okay, from our brains. And so we do process the information that our teachers or that we share to our students in different ways. So they do have a diversified ways of processing information. So it's our role as a teacher, you know, to guide and facilitate them so that they can possibly catch up with the lesson. You know. So the key word there is processing. Okay, this is the model of the done and done. So it depends on us. The ball is within us. How to traverse, you know, from the different boundaries of information that we share, you know, to our students. The next one is Kerr's onion model, which is actually described in three ways. It's like an onion where students learn different ways. Could be in the form of the cognitive personality style, the information processing style, where some students would like to hear music when they are learning. Some would like to have a conducive environment. Some would like to have videos, etc. Okay, instructional preferences. So we are considering this type of model because our students come from different diversities. The next one is the left brain dominated versus the right brain dominated. The left is said to be objective, or the right ones are said to be subjective. Now let's try to discover where you are in terms of the brain lateralization. Do you come from the left? You know, are you analytical when it comes to detail-oriented perception? You're niche in order sequencing. You're rationally good. You're good in verbal. You're cautious. You're superb in planning. Okay, you're excellent in math and science, logic, rightful vision, and right side motor skills. So you belong to the left brain domination. And the next one, when it comes to the right brain, you have intuitive thought, holistic perception, random sequencing. You're emotional, you're nonverbal, adventurous, impulse, creative when it comes to writing and art. You're imaginative, left field vision, and left field motor skills. So from this one, when you see your learners are really heading to this type of right brain lateralization. So meaning choose suitable content, strategies, approaches which will answer, their niche when it comes to a particular setting. And to the left brain lateralized student, so it depends on me what type of materials will you be producing, especially now that we are having a paradigm shift of online learning. Okay, the next one is McCarthy's format system, which is composed into 4 quadrants or maybe 4 classifications. This one is describing the connection, the information, the practice, and the performance of our students. So it focuses on the lots and the hots, of the acquisition of knowledge that they need to possess, the whys, the whats, the hows, and the what ifs. So it's again crucial for the teachers to identify what possible lots and hots information they need to embrace. Okay, so the question here is, what teaching methods and activities suit different learning styles? Okay, so let me give you a game. This is titled Your Personal Memory Profile. So my dear teachers, I will be giving you a chance to experience a game. Now, this is titled Your Personal Memory Profile. So may I request you to get a pen and a paper. I will give you 1 minute to do this, okay? So it's just like we are in the classroom. So please do it now, my dear teachers. Thank you, Bob. Okay, so for now, I guess you have your pen and paper. So we're going to start with our game. Okay, are you ready? Okay. So this is titled Your Personal Memory Profile. So in this activity, you'll be able to learn more about your own memory profile by completing different exercises and then plotting your scores to understand your own personal strengths and weaknesses. So at the end of this activity, you'll be able to fill in a chart that will show where your strengths and weaknesses lie. So greater awareness of your weaker areas can lead you to try out different methods to find strategies that suit you personally. Okay? So the areas of assessment that I'll be measuring with this game is short-term memory, long-term memory, the verbal memory, visual memory, and the memory for facts. Okay, so let's try to uncover where are your weaknesses. Are you ready? Okay, so we'll start. So I have here a series of numbers. I want you to memorize the numbers in a count of 1 to 15. Are you ready, teachers? Okay, ready? Okay, I want you to, by the way, I want you to memorize, just memorize, do not write, okay, for now. Just memorize the numbers in a count of 1 to 15. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, my dear teachers, I want you to stop, and then for now, I'll be showing now the okay, so I'll be showing with you now your score. Okay, so less than 5, poor, 5 to 9, average, more than 9, good. So let me show you once again. Okay, I'll be showing you once again the series of numbers that we have memorized a while ago. You see that, maybe your teachers? Okay. So the next game is the short-term memory. I want you to memorize words, as many as you can from this one, in a count of 1 to 15. Are you ready? Okay. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Stop. Okay, so I want you to write now the words that you can recall from the activity. Okay, in a count of 1 to 15. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, stop. So let me show you your score. So it means to say when you are, let me show you once again the words for you to check your output. Okay. And here is your result. Less than 5, it means you are poor. 5 to 9, average. More than 9, good. Okay. So where were you, my dear teachers? So again, you are likely to have remembered between 9 and 5 items. So did you notice any pattern in the words? Can you notice any pattern? So if not, look again. So if you have seen, it is being categorized into toys, transport, furniture, and clothing. So one of the easiest ways of improving memory is to group items together in categories. So this reduces the memory load, making remembering easier. Okay, so another game is the short-term memory. I have here a picture for you to identify and memorize some facts. I'm going to give you 15 counts to possibly memorize the things that you see in this picture. Are you ready, my dear teachers? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, stop. Okay, so I want you to write all the things that you see in the picture in a count of 1 to 15. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, stop. So for now, I want you to check your work. So again, I will not be giving you the result first because I want you to identify if you have written correctly the words that you have seen in the picture. Now, I have here the questions. No, for the picture, I want you to read the questions, but not picture, or maybe take a picture from that. Just recall or maybe memorize these questions. Okay, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so in a count of 1 to 15, I want you to again write the questions, my dear teachers. Okay, so please write now the questions in a count of 1 to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, stop. So you have now the questions, and you have seen that maybe it could correlate to the pictures that you have seen in written a while ago. So I want you to take a look again at the questions, okay? And for now, I'm going to count once again, 1 to 15, in order for you to answer now the questions, okay? So in the count of 1 to 15, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, stop. Now, We have here, this is the last activity. We have here the picture. Okay, so let's try to check the first question. How many people were in the queue for the bus? So if you see, there are actually 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you can see here. Another question, what was the man with the bow tie carrying? So the man with the bow tie carrying, he is carrying an umbrella, right? Here. Okay. Next, what color was the sports car? So it's blue or violet, depends on how you're going to see that. The next one is, what was advertised on the bus? It's circus, right? The next one, what was the third shop from the left selling? 1, 2, 3, hardware or tools and equipment, right? The next one, why had the traffic stop? So the answer is, it's a pedestrian lane, or people are crossing the road. The next one, what was the last person in the bus queue holding? So the last person is holding a newspaper. The next one, how many shops were there? So there are actually 4 shops. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one, the next question, what was directly behind the bus? So it's actually a bicycle. The next one, what was the weather like? The answer is sunny. And what was the shop on the right selling? So could be cakes or burgers, pastries, etc. Okay, so let's check your work. What score did you get, my dear teacher? So this is your interpretation. Less than 5, it means to say that you are poor. 6 to 9, average. More than 9, it means you are good. Okay, so see how much you can improve your memory by learning. Repeat the test and see if you can improve on your original score. If you do the test for the 3rd time, so you may find that you improve even more. And again, let me reiterate that this was the principle of Edward Lee Thorndike when he introduced the theory or the law of exercise, learning by repetition. So this is the last activity, okay, which will cater your short-term memory. So I have your story. Carlo Dalisay was on his way to the local shop to buy a newspaper, a cartoon or eggs, and some jam for his breakfast. On his way home, as he was walking along the footpath, he saw a lady trip over a paving stone and fall to the ground, hitting her head. So he ran over to see if she needed help and saw that she had blood coming out of a wound in her head. He ran to the nearest house, knocked on the door, told the woman who answered what had happened, and asked her to telephone for help. After 15 minutes, an ambulance arrived and took the injured woman to hospital. Okay, so my dear teachers, I want you to write words as many as you can, in a count of 1 to 15. Let's try to check where you are in terms of your short-term memory. Are you ready? Okay, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, stop. So here are the words that you have seen. Okay, please check your work now. Okay, so let me show you the result of your activity. Okay, so less than 15 means you are poor, 16, 25, average, and more than 25, good. So are you happy with your score? See, even us have difficulty in trying to maybe catch up with the words and information that we are giving to our students. So Most people will remember the gist of the story in some detail, but it's very hard to remember such a story word for word. So our memories are not like recordings. They don't need to be. So when we are reading books and newspapers, most of us tend to remember the gist rather than the precise wording. So this is because although the words are important, our memory span is limited. So words become a route for a story. In hence, we remember only the gist. Luckily, what is important is what the words convey, and not necessarily the words themselves. So to sum up, most people will remember the gist of the story in some detail, but it is very hard to remember such a story word for word, right? So even us, we are still difficulty in how to catch up with that. So we need to also understand the way how our students are coming from when it comes to memory recall. Okay, our memories are not like recordings, and they don't need to be. When we are reading books and newspapers, most of us tend to remember the gist rather than the precise wording. So this is because although the words are important, our memory span is limited. So words become a route for a story. And hence, we remember only the gist. So luckily, what is important is what the words convey and not necessarily the words themselves. Okay, so that is the end of our activity. I hope you get a lesson from this, because it's time for you to also put your shoes, no, from our students in. We need to understand them. We need to describe and explain why this particular student is behaving like that, or maybe why this particular student is not performing well. So from this activity, I guess you can maybe reflect out of this. Okay. So that's why the multiple intelligences by Howard Gardner is also part of the learning style that we need to embrace and identify. Okay, so according to this theory, we're all able to know the world through language, logical, mathematical analysis, spatial representation, musical thinking, the use of the body to solve problems or to make things, and understanding of other individuals, and even understanding ourselves. Okay, I guess you're familiar with this one, because every year we are always considering this as we draft and design our lesson. Okay, so let me have a short review with how each intelligence is being described upon by Howard Gardner. So we do have the visual, spatial, which call for people who are good in nature. No, sorry, it's not for nature. It's how they see things, how they are able to navigate themselves in learning. So we do have that. For example, these learners are good in painting, in drawing, in video editing, recording, etc. Okay. The next one is bodily kinesthetic, these particular learners have inclination to body movements. They're good dancers, they're basketball players, and many other important attributes relating to body kinesthetic. The next one is the musical, where the learners have inclination and preferences to music and rhythm. So it's our job to provide them the sources or materials which call for their talents and innovations. The next one is interpersonal, where there are students who can easily learn when they get along with other learners, when they are talking with their classmates, when they are asking questions to their teachers. Okay, so this calls for learners who are interpersonal. They thrive within. They can be successful when they're alone. So do not underestimate this type of learners, because they are actually the ones who are scientists, researchers, IT analysts. Okay, they thrive when they are alone. Linguistic, they're good in words. They thrive in reading activities. They are good in speaking activities. So it's the job of the teachers not to provide activities which call for linguistic talents. The logical and mathematicals, they're really good in solving problems. They can easily answer puzzles, okay? Because according to John Dewey, if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we'll rob our children of tomorrow. Well, it is a fact that from the learning styles that we have learned or we have just discussed, or I have just discussed, we need to revisit first on how we're going to present the lesson. You know, may I ask you, my dear teachers, are you ready in August? Well, I would say yes, personally, because I'm teaching instructional multimedia. And I'm sure that with the ample knowledge and training that I got, I am quite ready. But let's try to also consider the digital immigrant teachers who have little information on virtual learning environments. And it's unfair to our students if we do not provide them the best training, the best education and training that they need to acquire while we are in the time of pandemic. So I really appreciate all the teachers who are innovating themselves, designing their technology supported materials in this pandemic. So we need to bridge the gap. How do we teach theories to that of applications in this time of tribulation? So the answer, or the ball, is within us, my dear teachers. So when we are embracing the paradigm shift, we also have the emergent technologies in the classroom. We are actually in the VUCA world today, where volatility or uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity has been visiting us, and we need to be flexible how to adapt and adopt this particular technologies or edtech tools that we need to introduce to our students, because if not, it's a big slap on our face when we do not innovate, right? Our students are becoming digital natives. They are born with all of the apps that we see and learn every day, and it's a great insult if we do not learn from these things. Can you recall about this one when we do face-to-face, our students are answering questions in this manner. However, with the evolution of technology, they can already use the scan papers. This is called the scansion paper, where they may do it through shading, right? Classroom condition before. This is still happening, but I don't know, when we return to our respective face-to-face classroom interaction, I hope we will be able to get back and be able to experience this type of learning situation. Okay. The use of the smart board, as a matter of fact, only a few of the high schools in the Philippines have already the smart boards, and it's quite expensive, although the Department of Education has been in cooperation with the DOST have been awarding schools with the smart classrooms that they may enjoy because of certain accomplishments that they need to have in order to have to acquire this particular innovation. Okay. So when it comes to taking notes, before our students are doing this type of taking note, but now they're already capturing an image from the board, right? The perspective in teaching before, it's like ethereally done. How do we imagine ourselves as teachers? However, now we do have different challenges. Meron tayong administrators challenge, the parents and the students. So how do we adjust to this type of challenges that we meet every day? No? So teachers and students of 21st century are actually diversified. Now, for the traditional teachers, they're using the traditional processes or strategies. They become lecture, teacher-centered, traditional content, chalk and paper materials. But today, the contemporary teachers are actually facilitator of learning. They guide and provide the students authentic learning experience to become active learners, where they are engaged and empowered in a day's lesson. Student-centered, where constructivism is activated in the classroom. The students are given the chance to their ownership of learning, contemporary content, high-tech materials. 20 years ago, we are using the chalk, right? But now, we can still use chalk when you're teaching grammar, solving math problems, etc. Right? You can never also forget the use of the chalk in the classroom situation. Traditional learners, they're passive, dependent, time-based, pen and paper. I could still recall when I was in high school where my teacher would let us copy a 6-hour duration class. We'll just, for the whole duration, we'll just copying, and our teacher was just reading a novel. It's, disgusting. And I hope this type of teacher doesn't exist now. Okay, contemporary learners, they're active, they're digital natives, they're already cell phones in their hands, they're collaborative, project-based digital natives. Okay, they want to explore, they want authentic learning experiences, but with the type of learning environment nowadays in the time of pandemic. How do we cater their assessments? How do we project content or produce content in the LMS? How do we craft our modules or instructional materials? Those are the questions, because evidently enough, our students are becoming advanced, tech savvy, and innovative. This is the challenge for all teachers. Okay, and when it comes to instructional media, the design of the message and the quality of teacher learning interactions. Okay, so as we cater our everyday's lesson, it's important that we plan out. We identify what possible media are we going to reinforce in the learning. We could use a chalk, we can devise an audio material, etc., in order to solidify the learning experiences in the classroom. We do have materials and substantial resources with instructional purpose, which includes traditional materials, electronic, visual, audiovisual, and static. So from that, we will be able to entice the attention of our students. We are able to empower and call for the positive vibe, because the keyword there is actually engagement. When they are engaged in the classroom, or even in the flexible learning that we're about to use now, everything is there. That's why we introduced to the learning theories that we need to identify, describe, and explain, so that we can possibly choose the best and suitable learning experiences that our students need to acquire nowadays. Okay? So when we say instructional media, we are focusing on the audio, the visual, and tactile. Okay, so when we say audio, it refers to the way how our students hear something, a material which would navigate themselves to learning more, on a particular lesson. The visual, the materials that they see, the modules that they are reading, and tactile, it involves the hands. So these are the three important elements when you're studying instructional media. So when you say audio, it calls for the teacher's voice, the audibility of the teacher's voice upon the instruction. So right now we are using the virtual learning environment, and there are heaps of audio applications that we can download in the internet. So right now I am using the OBS application, and when I check it, I mean the voice is not that good, but you can edit it using different applications like Audacity and any other apps that you can use in order to, when you present this to your students, the voice of the recorded video is excellent. Next one is audio cassettes. It depends on the lesson. Maybe if you're teaching a particular subject, no? I can still use this one, audio CDs, language labs, and radio, okay? And one of the best ways to teach right now using audio is to download the app podcast, okay? In my other talk, I have presented to you in Module 1 some audio apps for you to download in order to introduce this one in your learning management system. The next one is the visual. This includes the chalk, the whiteboards, the objects, models like the realias, the pictures, the images, the diagram slides, silent films. There are heaps of applications in the internet that you can use, no? When you want to entice your students visually. The next one is tactile, which calls for the working models, equipment, simulators, interactive software. Tweedla is one of the famous app you can use whenever you are considering a whiteboard, okay? So it's not a problem because with the array of the internet connection that we have, in just a click of a mouse, you can right away download materials which will call for audio, visual, and tactile, okay? So let me share with you now the factors in media selection. So when we attend webinars, we have seen that the different organizations have been providing us with heaps of applications which are considered to be vital, no, in presenting our content via a learning, via virtual learning situation. So we need to also to consider how would it solidify our teaching instruction when we choose a particular medium, you know, in teaching. Okay. So the question here is, why do we use instructional multimedia? So of course the first one is it creates impact. You know? If we want to effect a certain surprise of learning, we need to consider the use of instructional multimedia or media, because our students would be able to increase their motivation whenever they listen, whenever they see a particular diagram or a realia, a picture, which would supplement, no, their learning experience. So the second one, it is focus, attention, okay? From that, students are engaged, they're able to appreciate the beauty of instructional media, because it's not all about text, it's not all about words, it's not all about the teacher's voice. They need to have a varied way of learning and teaching, okay? So that's why it's crucial for us to be able to select the best medium for their teaching learning experiences and support learning. It's our job to exhibit the foundation of teaching learning experiences in the classroom. So we are expected to be ready when we provide these things to our learners. So the first factors, I mean, these are the factors of the media selection, but I'm going to discuss this one by one. This includes the physical condition, availability, practical constraints, factors, organizational issues, and the function. So the first one is the physical condition. Okay? So as we all know, we are transitioning to a new normal, and from the usual face-to-face that we do every day, come August, we are going to transition ourselves to a virtual classroom environment. So how are we ready? Are we? The first question is, do we have internet connection? Because there would come a time that you're going to meet your students synchronously, meaning sabay-sabay online. You can do that via Zoom. So how are you going to do that? First is you need to have internet connection. Not only you, but also consider the condition of your students. Would it be fair that you're going to have an online meeting and there are 10 students who didn't have internet connection? So that's a great challenge. That's why you can also choose a synchronous way of delivery. Okay, so the physical condition, this also talks about the type of computer they're using, the type of the learning management that you're designing. For 3 years, I've been using Schoology, and I believe it's a great platform where teachers may upload their content, their learning materials, assessments, etc. Okay, so it talks about all the learning materials and resources that you provide in them virtually for now. But if you're ready and you know how to make a module, why not? Because in our university, we're planning that you can do synchronously or asynchronously, although the president has been telling us to do it asynchronously. Okay? The next condition is availability. Okay, so the availability of the gadget, the material, the learning resource, the computers, the laptops that our students are having. And I'm pretty sure, because I come from a province, I experienced hardships in education, and I feel students who come from these places, so we should develop that empathy within us, how our students will be able to do this, where they can experience convenience and the cost of the material that we're producing. Where naturally, when you're going to provide worksheets that they need to answer, are they ready? Did you have printer? Because you have said that your students are going to submit the material. So are they ready to do that? Do you have the availability of the printer in their home? Okay, the connection. Because you say that you're going to record, they're going to pose as community informants. Are they ready? So that's the big question here: the availability of the learning resources. So the next one is so we are considering the diversity of the students here. So that's one thing. So we need to also analyze how our students are doing and responding to the various types of learning resources that we are providing. The learner factors, okay, because our students come from different family backgrounds. So some are techie while others are not. Some can read directly or that right away, but this particular student is a PWD, so he has a hard time reading. this particular student is good in mathematics and while others are not. So you need to consider their diversities, okay? The next one is organizational issues. So this can range from how the materials are being used, okay? This could maybe cater or call for the appropriateness of the instructional multimedia that you are using. Okay? For a grade 1 pupil, is it possible that he or she may use a whiteboard, interactive whiteboard, a computer, a laptop? In the picture, yes, because they do have, I mean, the size is limited and the materials, learning materials are available. But, you know, we in the Philippines, we really have this scarcity of the learning resources. You know? And it's our job to answer these issues bombarding in our classroom. So when we cater in our classroom as virtual situation, so we need to also consider how our students will respond to the type of materials that we are introducing. So for example, in the module, we have indicated that they need to download the PDF materials, the links, the Spotify recording that you have presented. So would it be easy for them to appropriately access this material? So these are some of the issues that we need to answer. Okay, and the teaching function. Okay, we should always remember that nobody could replace our role as a teacher. We're still the number one producer of knowledge, and these edtech tools are just supplements. They do not give the best critical function of being a teacher, of us teaching the think, feel, and do profile of our learners. So let us always guide them the best possible way on how to effectively process how they are using the learning resources that they are experiencing. So let's review. So these are the some of the factors that we see that we need to consider upon learning, okay? Because it's not a bed of roses, actually. It's not all about us. It's all about our students. They're able to produce the 21st century skills that they need to possess nowadays, or to acquire nowadays. They need to be leaders of their own learning. You know, they need to have that self-management where at the end of the day, without the teachers, they can employ themselves with the right job that can match their qualifications. That's why critical thinking is one of the 7 C's that is being mandated for every teacher to develop, to our learners. So critical thinking, where our students will be able to answer the problem questions at the end of the day. The second one is communication. They can be able to produce crisp articulation of thoughts. Creativity, they're going to design something, create something at the end of the lesson. Collaboration, they need to connect with other learners, with their course mates. That's why in the learner management system, you need to also cater group work activities like debates, surveys, marami yan. So do not always cater to individual performance when it comes to catering or designing your modules or in learning management system. We also have the ICT or computing literacy. Of course, we need to also make ourselves highly sophisticated with all of these materials presented in the or introduced to us in the social networking sites. In the same way, because our students are capable of doing that. And the last one is career learning, self-reliance. That at the end of the day, they are empowered learners who can land a job, who can face the world, who will be able to bravely challenge themselves as effective and successful learners. Okay, so my dear teachers, that ends our lesson or session for today about instructional multimedia. If you have questions, please try to email me at aagordonas@pup.edu.ph or via my cell phone number. And to end, I hope you'll be able to reflect on our crucial role in becoming a 21st century teacher. We need to embrace, adapt, and use appropriate instructional materials effectively. If we want to make the world better, let us be the change we wish to see the world. And for that, maraming salamat po.